Looking for some help on this Tektronix scope I'm trying to repair. I've been spending sort of last week trying to fix it. It's a second 2440 I bought for spares for repair. It's in good condition, but it won't calibrate. There's a number of problems, a CCD gain preamplifier problem, and it's basically boiling down to what it looks like, the DAC control. Now I'm really struggling with this, but what basically is the problem here is the DAC control is all controlled through these chips here that operate these operational amplifiers. Now there are various chips to test, and these ones marked in green have all tested okay. And this is all done by using the force DAC command, which basically lets you adjust the DAC, the analog control that converts it into a digital signal and allows you to adjust all these voltages. And these are called up on the front screen. So for example, if I call up this GN22, if I look at U951 pin 7, I should be able to get an adjustment of minus 1.37 volts to plus 1.36 volts. Now that's working fine. All of these are working fine apart from these ones marked up in red. And these ones in red are the ones that adjust the gain to the CCD sides, and this is the problem. I'm not getting the control over it. Now, I don't really understand how this thing works. What I can say is that all of these chips here that are listed in this diagnostic chart are working okay, apart from anything connected to this multiplexing chip here. And this multiplexing chip is basically, from what I can see, all the data lines are in parallel with these other two chips. So I'm surmising there's nothing wrong with the data transfer, or that these lines, should I say. We've got these address lines here that basically enable the chip. Pin 8 here, pin 8 on this one, and pin 8 on this one. So what I think is happening with this, and I'm not entirely sure, could be wrong, is basically that the chips are addressed 1, 2, 3, and when it addresses that chip, it programs it, it jumps to the next line, it programs it, it jumps to this one, it programs it, and there's a couple more here as well, and they all come off this enable line here, of this multiplexer here. You can see this DAC enable. So basically that selects the DAC to be enabled. The first one, it looks like, is one here. Now these all check okay, it's just on another page. Then it goes off to the other ones off board, which are with these arrows. This one, the one marked in red is the one that's the problem, and one more down here. Now, one of the requirements of the one that's failing is I'm getting a very small swing on it, about 1.36 volts, and it's supposed to have 12 volt swing on it. Now, what it looks to me like, I need to get this programming device here to work. Now, the person who's had this before has changed these op amps, but there's nothing really happening on these operational amplifiers at all. There's no level change here. I've got this AM6012D, which is another DAC, and it's also equivalent to a DAC 312. Now, when I looked at the voltage on this pin 14 here, which is the reference, there was 0 volts on it, but I was getting 10 volts on the other side of this I think it's 860 or 660, it's not very clear. So what I did was I thought, well, the chip's gone short, that will be it. I'll replace this chip and then we'll get our 10 volts back. You can see here I put 4.5 millivolts here. Replace this chip and it's exactly the same. As soon as I plug that in, it collapses. But I've since read on the data sheet that pin 15 tracks pin 14. Well, pin 15 is tied to ground, so I can't see the point of having it tied to the reference chip. So I'm probably missing something there. But it looks to me like this system here, which should have a swing here of plus or minus 15 volts, is possibly part of the reason why. I don't know if this signal is sent back through these multiplexers to give me the DC voltage here. I'm unsure how this is working. I need to get a 12 volt swing, a positive here. It should be a plus. Oh, it's a plus 4.76 and a what does it say? It says plus 4.76 to plus 12.1. Now, not really sure. I'm not getting anything like that on here. All the other voltages and the chips are okay, but I can't see where it gets its 12 volts from, because these ones are programmed lower. So is that down to the programming of the chip? Does the chip get programmed and it will increase its voltage for this one, and then it will drop back to an... I just don't know how this works. So if anyone's got any ideas how this thing's working and possibly what could be the wrong, it's basically all these chips marked in red are reading wrong, and they're all tied back to this multiplexer. This multiplexer's been changed, that chip's been changed. I can't see where I've got to go from now. I could put a logic. I've got a border logic analyzer. I could have a look at that. It shows you a couple of waveform checkpoints, pin 5, but they're all the same. All these checkpoint waveforms are the same. They're just like the enable signal. That's not much help for me. The enable signal's there. It looks like there's data coming. There's level changes coming here, but they're just not enough. So if anyone's got any ideas on this, please give me some clues.